Welcome to the Bankless by Design podcast, where we rethink money, ditch the system, and rediscover what it means to truly thrive well. I'm Tricia Miller, mom of 7, financial coach, and founder of Thrivewell. Around here, we believe wealth is more than numbers. It's about freedom, stewardship, and building a legacy that lasts. If you're ready to challenge the norm and take back control of your financial life, you're in the right place. Hello, and welcome to the very first episode of the Bankless by Design podcast. I am so glad that you're here. Today, I want to talk to you about who I am and why I'm doing this podcast. So, a little personal background for you. I am the mom of 7 grown adult children. I have 6 grandbabies that call me Gigi. And for many years, I was a stay-at-home mom and I homeschooled my children for 12 of those years. I worked in ministry at 2 area churches as the kids director. And I was a military spouse for many years. We made lots of moves around the country with a lot of kids in tow. But life was not picture perfect. It seemed to be for a long time. And then, crisis eventually hits all of us. And I really started to look for some answers to my financial situation. I began studying real estate. I did a little bit of investing there. I became a real estate agent. But ultimately, along the way, and with all of my studies, I really came upon the beauty of the infinite banking concept. I discovered that and fell in love with it. And I have been practicing that in my own life for several years now. So today, I am an authorized practitioner with the Nelson Nash Institute, doing what I absolutely love the most. And that is, I love coaching people into how to become their own banker through the infinite banking concept. So why this podcast and why now? Well, I truly believe that this is a superior way to handle our money. And I have become more and more convinced that conventional wisdom has really been keeping people dependent and powerless. So let's just talk about what that conventional wisdom sounds like. I think you will relate to a lot of the things that you have heard that I'm going to say. So for example, we've all been taught that we should go to school and get a good job and then contribute well to our 401k, right? Perhaps we will buy a house and then we'll be told that we should pay off that mortgage early, make extra payments. Maybe you've heard the idea of buy term insurance and invest the difference. You've also been taught to trust the market. You're in it for the long haul, right? That high risk equals high reward. And that one day, someday, it will all pay off. Perhaps when the market tanks, we talk about, buy more, it's on sale. So all of these things are just part and parcel for the conventional wisdom that we are so accustomed to, and we just don't even question it anymore, right? But the reality is, we've been following all of this conventional wisdom, and we're still incredibly burdened by debt in general, burdened by taxes, and our wealth is being eroded away by inflation. It's like we're swimming upstream with one hand tied behind our back, and it is no wonder we can barely keep our head above water. You see, we're told that if we just go to work for 40 plus years and hope that someday, if we have accumulated enough, that by the time we're 65, maybe 67, we can finally start living. Of course, we have to hope that we have our health at that point, right? But here's the thing, that someday may never come. And I really learned this the hard way when my dearest brother, who really, in our family, was the one who followed this conventional advice the most. I would say that we really looked to him as someone who was the smartest with his money. And so he did just that. He worked 40 years. He worked hard. He was gone Monday through Friday. He came home on the weekends to spend time with his wife and his 2 boys. And they lived that way for 40 years and looked forward to the day when he could finally retire. The only problem was, in January, he retired. By August, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And by October, he was gone. That was like a gut punch to me to wake up and realize that we can't just keep living for one day someday. We have to be intentional about our living now while still preparing for the future. And I know that for many people, that seems like an impossible dream. And so this is the way, though, that most people are living, right? We're on the hamster wheel. We're working our days away, the best days of our lives. And I'm not saying we shouldn't work. There's a place for work, right? But we're like cogs in a wheel a little bit. We have lost some pieces of our humanity. I believe that the vast majority of people are living lives of quiet desperation, hoping that one day something is going to change. Yet it doesn't. So where does this conventional wisdom come from? We always talk about they say. Well, who is they? We don't really learn it in school because we don't learn much about personal finance in school. But somehow this wisdom, I believe, is passed on to us from banks, from the brokers of Wall Street, and from government bureaucrats, in as much as they have designed the tax qualified plans that the vast majority of us have subscribed to. So my question to you is, do you think that these three major sources really have your best interest in mind? Or do they have their own ulterior motives? Have you ever stopped to consider that? Really, how has it been going over the past 50 to 100 years? What has been happening each generation? And when I look back and I look at my parents' generation, and then I look at mine, and I look forward to what my kids are experiencing, I'm seeing a shift here, and it's not in a positive direction. Inflation is getting worse. Tax burdens are getting worse. And our dollars just aren't going anywhere near as far as they used to go. So why do we keep following their advice without question? Could it be that we just don't really know any other way? I think we've been convinced that Wall Street is the only way to grow our money. At least it's the most convenient, right? All we got to do is let our employer take our funds away from us. Despite the risk, at least it's something. At least we're putting away something and hoping that it will be enough one day. Well, let's just take one of those institutions for just a moment to consider. Let's talk about banks and banking. Have you ever stopped to think that banking is the most profitable business in the world? They are the most beautiful buildings in the best locations in town. They look like they're doing pretty well, aren't they? Well, do they follow the advice that they give you? No, they want you to keep your money with them in their hands. They want you to accumulate cash in their savings account or their checking account. And they want you to let it sit and grow and accumulate pitifully, might I say. But what are they doing with it? Are they just holding their cash and letting it sit there? No, absolutely not. In fact, when you put your money in the bank, I think we often think that it's just sitting there waiting for us with our name on it for us to come back and pull it out and use it again. But that's not what they do. They are immediately putting that money to work. They're immediately lending it out to your neighbors, to your community, to loan for mortgages, for cars, for credit cards, and they're making a handsome profit on your money. You see, they believe in the velocity of money. How many times can they flip those dollars? How quickly? And here's the best part. Half the time, they're lending it back to you because you're going to them for your financing. So what if instead of listening to their advice, we actually started imitating what they're doing? Well, that is some of what we're going to talk about on this podcast and much more. Now, this is just kind of giving you a little bit of a teaser, I suppose, but I want to be very clear about something. This podcast is not going to be about money just for the sake of money. I believe that money is a tool, and it's a tool that can be used to gain freedom and to be able to align those dollars with your values, not someone else's. So I'm going to be all about teaching how to take the banking function back over into your own hands and keeping that money in the family where you can access and control your own dollars and not be beholden to the gatekeepers. We want to build a financial system that is serving your life instead of serving the system. So my vision for this podcast really is to show you what I have discovered. I'm not teaching anything that I don't do myself. I'm not going to tell you how to invest or any of that, but I am going to have you think and be able to consider how you can create stability and build wealth so that you can live today and prepare for the future. This is a multi-generational system that is designed not just to accumulate assets, but to gain the freedom that you desire to live more fully, to be able to give more generously, and to protect what matters the most to you. As for me, I want my money and my wealth to be aligned with my values for the benefit of the people in my life. I want to be able to do that. I want to be able to give more generously to people in need. I want to be able to provide for my own household, for my children, for my grandchildren, and for my great-grandchildren so that they will all be better enabled to do and be all that God has called them to be. I mean, let's be honest. As a single woman, I never thought that this would be possible. And yet I have been participating in the infinite banking concept for just merely 6 years, and it has already changed the trajectory of my life and the life of my children and my grandchildren. And so I cannot tell you enough. This is a passion of mine, and I'm just inviting you along on the journey so that you too can find financial freedom that maybe you haven't had, so that we can do a better job of providing for our families. Perhaps it's to grow a business. Perhaps it's to pursue your own dreams. Your values may be different than mine, and that's okay. This is a private system designed to align with your goals and your values. So what can you expect on this podcast? Well, I will be working hard to actually challenge your thinking about money. I want to peel back the curtain on how money actually works, how the financial systems work, because I believe that when you know what is happening, you'll know what to do. I'm going to be giving you simple and practical explanations of the infinite banking concept and how to apply that in your own life. We're going to be talking about mindset shifts and the shift from scarcity mindset to one of abundance and stewardship, because how we think about money is a huge piece of this. From time to time, we'll be touching on biblical principles that connect money with purpose and values. I also hope to be doing some interviews with people who are already doing this, maybe some people who are ahead of us in this, building legacies that are outside of the traditional system. And together, I hope we'll challenge the status quo and build something better, much better. So if you care about your family's future and you're tired of blindly following financial advice that just seems off, that isn't serving you, and you're ready to think differently, be challenged, dive in and learn, and take back control and create some freedom, then this podcast is for you. So if any of this resonates with you, or you know of anyone who you think might like to hear this, if you would, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe so you don't miss future episodes, and share this with someone that you love who needs to hear that there is a better way. Meanwhile, I can't wait to grow with you and help you to take your next steps forward toward freedom, ownership, and thriving in every area of life. Thank you so much for listening, and until next time, have a great week. Thanks for tuning in to the Bankless by Design podcast, where we're done with the system and we're doing money differently. Be sure to subscribe, share this episode with someone who needs it, and visit us at banklessbydesign.com to learn how you can start living bankless by design.